I had a delivery today that I'm
Oh.
really excited about,
Oh,
but I haven't opened it yet because I'm in a 1 in, 1 out situation at the minute.
oh,
So I think I said on one of the last podcasts that obviously I moved from the office and I had to consolidate everything downstairs, but somehow I managed to find space and I'm still in a 1 in, 1 out situation at the minute.
So, but wait, a bottle's arrived, but you just can't open it yet.
2 bottles have arrived today.
Four bottles.
Gordon knows me far too well that I am so weak when it comes to bottle bans.
No, come on. I got a message from Rob this week. Clearly it was worded in a way that was like, talk me out of both of these, help me choose between both of these, or help me buy both of these, right? I don't know how it worked out. Did you buy both?
I did. I bought both. The worst thing is, Roy, I've added the Arnamur that you poured at the start of the third podcast in my basket. It's in my basket now, and I'm like, right, if I see that Thompson Brothers Tesco bottle turn up, that's it. I get in.
All right, let's go with it. This is 30. New drams on the block. There we go. That's even better.
That's it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to episode 30. Officially titled New Drams on the Block. Today I'm joined by Rob Roy and Gordon. Surprise, surprise. How are we all?
Aye, good.
Good, thank you.
So much better than last week.
Aye. We've addressed this many times, but we continue pretending like there's time between. And we're really ambitious because we say it's weeks when it can actually be months between the podcasts getting released.
I just can't believe we do 4 in a row.
Hey, I'm impressed we can alliterate by the fourth one, Rob.
Yeah.
But welcome all. Good to see you all again. A very, very loose theme around new drams or new distilleries. Maybe the youngest distillery that you've got a bottle of or from. I'll kick off maybe, and I'll let you choose. That was the brief to you all as to what to drink on this podcast. I've got what probably would be the youngest distillery as option A, and option B is a new bottle for me, but it's still quite a young distillery. One's open, and that would be the Holyrood Arrival. It's open. It's got down to the shoulder, so it's probably in a good place. Or
the Embra.
Yes.
Or
White Peak Distillery Wireworks, which I have not opened.
Oh, look at you two, eh?
Alter Ego.
Nice.
I've got the Alter Ego too.
Okay.
Snap.
It's cracker. I was actually those were my two choices, to be honest.
Oh, what should I open, or rather, what should I pour?
Both.
I think it's quite nice that you've both picked the same dram tonight, so get it open.
In that case, I'll kick over.
Wireworks have done nothing wrong in my book.
I'll kick over to you, Gordon, to buy me time as I open this.
Okay.
What are you pouring?
Well, I have poured already a wee dram of what I think is a really under the radar and underappreciated distillery. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't think anybody knows why. But it's Lindor's. And this is a Ruby Port distillery exclusive. So it's a distillery only bottling. You had to go to the distillery to get it. And I was given this as a gift for photographing the Fife Whisky Festival.
Nice.
Because they offered us up as the first dram at the opening dinner. And it was unbelievable. And then on the Saturday, so that was on the Friday night, on the Saturday, I went to Murray at his stall and he had one of these sitting there, and I said, you got to give me another one of those because it was fantastic. And again, I mean, if you speak to Sevy, you'll get the same report. Lindor's were really doing it at the Fife Whisky Festival. They were offering up some really good whiskey. So yeah, I've picked that one as my new distillery. 2017, these guys kicked off. But I also have something that arrived today by Wife Mule from the Lowlands. And I swore I wasn't going to get this.
Oh, and yet you did.
And yet, Bobski the eternal whiskey botherer Dunair sent me a wee link saying, oi, oi, there's a wee bottle here if you want it, and I couldn't not get it. So it's an Arnamur Paul Noir this year. And it's not open yet. It's arrived today, and I really want to open it.
Do it.
Okay, I will.
Give it.
Aye. That's what it's there for.
It's true, Bobs.
What are the reports? What are the reports on this?
Nothing yet.
It's a yearly release, right? Paul and
Right, so this is their Chardonnay casks.
Champagne.
That's what I said. Champagne casks. That's what I said.
Champagne.
So they're I think they're increasing in quantity every year because they're getting more casks. So every year the Paul Noir release gets bigger. But this Paul Noir was released in, what was it, 21, 22? And the reports were like, this is the best thing you've ever tasted. And I really FOMO'd it. Or I was chasing it like mad. And eventually I managed to get one through Peter Lee. Peter Lee found one, magicked one. And I went through to Glasgow and picked up. And it was really good. It was really good. And then the next year, I managed to get it through kind of chance from Aberdeen Whisky Shop. But I have to say, of all the Ardnamurkins that I've tried and loved, this doesn't really rate as the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I go for a sherry Ardna all the time. I understand why people chase this. You know, it's zing busters. It's really, really good. But I just don't gravitate towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why this year I thought, you know what? I'm going to Campbelltown. I'm doing the warehouse tasting tour. I'm doing my blend your own. I'm in Campbelltown. So I'll probably come home with quite a lot of stuff. So I'm going to keep my powder dry. And, you know, if I miss out on the Paul Noir, then fine. It's what it is. You know what? I've had the Golden Promise, which is right up my alley. I've got the Sherry Cask release in reserve. You know, I've got enough Arnamur in there that it's just up for me. But then I had to buy it because I just had to buy it. So here it is.
It was there waiting for you.
It's just sitting there. So, you know, you can't let one of these just sit there.
So you're saying this is a yearly release?
Yeah, every year.
That's really interesting. I always assumed. I mean, this is an assumption. Knowing Paul Noir, it's a very exclusive champagne. Am I wrong? Like,
it is probably high up there. Right.
Have you seen the way they set up the barrels?
Sideways?
It's like an art installation. From what I've seen, they
What
have
do you mean?
they so from the images I've seen, it's the casks are hung from the ground. Like, it's not like they're not racked. They're not anything.
They're hung from the ground, Bob. What are you talking about?
Sorry, they're hung from the roof, and they're in a cradle sort of thing, and it's actually
Do they swing?
I guess
They're
so.
suspended. They're suspended. I've pulled an image up.
That's a much nicer way of saying it. Thank you.
Hung from the ground.
Hung from the ground. They're hovering. Yeah. Right. See you later, guys. I'm good. Thanks.
That's cool. I think what's even cooler is apparently, so they matured their champagne in these casks. They sent it to Arna. They matured their whiskey. They disgorge it. Arna have now sent it back to Lanois to mature more champagne, and they're going to send it back again to do more whiskey. So there's this kind of reciprocal, cyclical thing going on. It's really interesting.
Yep.
Anyway,
I'd love it if they snuck an Ardna Gherkin cask back to them just to see.
Just to mess them up.
Just to ruin some
here we
of
go.
the champagne.
Let's have a moment of silence for this cork pot.
I
Hey.
fudged that. didn't I? I fudged it.
No, that was good. It was good.
It's perfect.
I love Arnamur whiskey.
So that's a neck pour as well.
Hi.
We'll give it some time. Rob, then, so did you literally pick the exact same two bottles that I did?
They were in contention. So I've got to be honest, I had to do some Googling to kind of figure out the maths and the dates and things of what would be the newest distillery. And the Holyrood won. The Holyrood won. Why, is he having a crisis with his Paul Noir?
Okay. Sorry.
It's good. I think the Holyrood won. I think that was established in 2019. But I thought that might be one that might get picked, so I went for two English whiskies, and it turns out I thought one might have beaten it, but they were both established in the same year, 2016. One of those being Wireworks, and the other I would class as my local distillery is Cooper King. Distillery, and this is one I brought to the blind after the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and it's had a pretty good hit, but I've kind of left it. It's 3 years old. I've left it on the shelf. It's 48%, and I've kind of left it to sit in its own bottle, so to speak, just to kind of like give itself some time and
Compose itself.
That's a good way of saying it. Compose itself. It did get a good reception on the night, but my initial thoughts about it wasn't immensely positive. It was just okay, that's nice, that's whiskey, that's young whiskey, it's fine. But as it's sat on the notice step, it's coming to its own. It's doing really, really well.
It's doing really, really well.
And I feel like maybe it's because I'm being a bit more biased because it's in York, so it is like by a local distillery. But my other pick is Wireworks, and
what have you poured though?
I poured Wireworks Alter Ego.
Oh, okay.
And it is just.
What is that, Rob? What does it mean?
They can do no wrong. So Alter Ego is it's a limited edition bottling from Wireworks, and it differs on their normal cut points from their normal spirit, and I'm not sure if it's a different balance of bourbon and STR. I'm not sure if it's the same. You have to forgive me, I'm cheating here, reading the label, but
no.
The focus here was on the shift in the spirit,
right,
just by them changing the cut points.
But it is fantastic stuff. It is really it's beautiful spirit. I've been down 3 times now because it's still quite local. It's only Derbyshire for me, so it's only like an hour and a half drive. But my God,
how old do we think it is?
6. This is 6 years, I believe.
6?
Yeah. And they've just released their new bourbon as well. Actually, I'm mistaken. Sorry, no, I'm getting my wires mixed.
Yeah, the Alter Ego's younger.
Yeah,
younger.
So the one they've just released is between 5.5 and 6 years, which is the ex-bourbon, which is their oldest matured. This one's younger. Sorry, I'm getting my wires crossed.
Your wireworks crossed.
Well, the pun still lands every time. Aye.
No pun intended.
Top 10.
So I've poured both, Rob. I'm into the Wireworks. Very, very pleasant on first tasting from the neck pour. It's quite bright. It's quite light for me. And I just, as you were talking Holyrood, I thought I'll pour that as well. Just have a little. I have to say, I think the nose on the Holyrood is a little more my camp. It's a little richer, sweeter.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
that might be me not being Mr. X bourbon. I don't know.
No, I think it makes it. I think it's bang on for me in terms of what I expect from the Alter Ego. I mean, it is meant to be a different flavor. It's a different take on Wireworks. It is much more fruitier and yeah, the Holyrood. I've not had much of it, to be fair, but I remember it being much richer.
It's tremendous whiskey, though. Don't get me wrong. And for 51, it does not drink 51%.
No.
The Alter Ego.
It's very easily quaffable.
Roy, what did you reach for when you were briefed? New distillery or new bottle?
I've been there's loads of bottles in front of me now, and I'm trying to work out which bottle was for which thing. But they all fit. I think they all fit. I've got a Lag Kilmorey that I was sipping last week. I've poured a wee bit. I've got the youngest whiskey in front of me that I have. The youngest in terms of distillery and bottle. It's from Edinburgh. It's a Bonington. 46%. This is their Pedro Jimenez cask. It came out at 46, as I say. No, sorry, 47%, my mistake. But £45. So really quite inexpensive, but clearly very, very young whiskey. So they were, I think, founded in 2020. So this is 3-year-old spirit, right? This is very young. But I poured a tiny teaspoon of it. You can see that I haven't sipped a lot from this bottle. And I'm not in love. Gordon and I were chatting before we went live tonight, and we happened to mention this one. And I think Gordon mentioned a saccharine finish. And it's not just him planting the seed. If I check my notes on it, I've written saccharine as well. And it's saccharine tonight too. And also the separation there between that PX element and the spirit underneath. It's like sipping two things from the same bottle, same glass. It's crazy. So given that that's about as pleasurable as Lego slippers, I'm going to pour... That's rude, isn't it? I'm just not enjoying
I
it.
didn't realise. I think I knew that there was a distillery attached to Krabby's or whatever, but I didn't realise that they were fully producing it out.
Yeah, well, it almost passed me by too, but quite a few people, and I can see why they would rave about it, because there's a really big flavour hook here. There's a really big, it's obviously from the PX cask, and when you get that big flavour hook and you get the £45 in New Distillery, and okay, this is different, you can get quite excited about it, but you sip it up against anything, and it's the youth and the kind of jagginess and almost kind of sense of not together at all vibe is exposed quite quickly. So,
and you would rate the Arrival far more than that.
The Holyrood Arrival, absolutely. The Holyrood Arrival. Listen, I've not tried. They followed it up with the Embra, and I've not spent much time with that. But the Arrival, I thought, was tremendous. I thought it was really flavourful, but it was one of these kind of really kind of new, trendy, funky, modern takes on whiskey, where super long fermentation is the front foot. I would say you've got all that kind of ripe, doughy, bready, overripe fruit, that really estery thing that. And often if you walk into a fermentation room that's really active and there's lots of things going on, and there's a really strong sense of ripe banana, wheat beer, and what is it called when dough is it proving dough?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that really kind of yeasty dough kind of aroma is there. It's hanging in the air and it's heavy. And when you have really long fermentations, which is de rigueur right now for whiskey, is more often than not, that bleeds into the drinking experience. And
yeast farts. That's what we're smelling. Yeast farts.
yeah, and delicious they are too. Thank goodness for yeast farts.
Num 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 num.
Makes us the booze, right? But you know, that's what the Holyrood Arrival was for me. This one is this Bonington, which is on an industrial estate. It just arrived, and if it wasn't for people mentioning it to me, I would have completely missed it. But it's fine. It's not expensive. I'm not disappointed that I purchased it or whatever. But it's one of these stories that's just not ready yet. I think they've just rushed it out.
Well,
whatever.
see, that's great. That's a great segue, because that's where I was wanting to go. I was on a chat last night. I happened to just jump onto Bourbon Battalions. He goes live with Zach, smoke cigars, talk bourbon. Bobby's quite analytical with his drinking and cigar pairings. But he posed an interesting question, and it was kind of around that, Roy, of like, there's a lot, or there are some new distilleries that are maybe rushing and putting product out before it's ready. And I wanted to maybe kind of kick that around for a minute of like, how does that present? What defines if something's been rushed, right? Like, how does it present as a flavour or a drinking experience? And then maybe, is there some more recent experiences that you all have had where you've expected one thing and it's come across as another or rushed? So maybe how does when something's rushed out, what are the signifiers?
Well, it doesn't taste good.
Hot.
Okay,
maybe?
that's the first ring on the explanation wheel. Let's go deeper.
It's hot and spiky, isn't it? But it's interesting because it feels like there's so many new distilleries that are making spirit that is meant to be drunk young, and yet we go to these distilleries and we try the new make, and it's sublime. It's fantastic. It was Holyrood. I had some friends who went to Edinburgh and bought some Holyrood new make, and they had quite a few different mash bills, if that's the right turn of phrase, for Scotch whiskey, and it was all fantastic. It was all tropical fruits, and it was just it really came alive as new make, but it's different maybe when you put it in the cask. Maybe the tannins are a bit maybe overwhelmed too much, or I don't know.
Well, I mean, someone somewhere's thought that's good. I mean, there might be business people behind it more than a master distiller or blender, but someone's gone, that's good. That'll do.
Mm-hmm.
but then we get it and it doesn't deliver. I wonder, Gordon, is there a common denominator when you've tasted stuff and something's happened and that's the thing that's gone, well, and it's led you to go, it's just been rushed. More age would do
I
this
think
or answer what I'm not getting.
The easy answer is the Bonington's there. So I got a set of wee sample of it and I drank it and thought, oh boy, it's almost like they're trying to mask something because it felt like fake sweetie. It felt like synthetic almost.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the synthetic thing that catches me. I think, oh, there's something though, it doesn't feel at rest. It feels like it's straining. I don't know if that makes sense. I've had it.
Does to me.
Yeah, no, I want to dive into like how does fake sweet present that differs from
Do you know
a
when
rich
you
sherry
were
finished
younger
sweet?
and you would have Christmas Day and you'd get a bar of chocolate and you would be like, oh yeah, because it was like Cadbury's or something. And then you would go to that weird auntie and you'd get a bar of chocolate and it's like, oh no, fake chocolate. It had a different taste. It felt synthetic. It didn't feel at rest with itself.
Yep.
It's that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying like a Woolworths advent calendar versus a Lindt chocolate advent
what have you done?
calendar.
Or proper, real, natural sugar versus artificial sweetener.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There you go. So you get the wee, what they call then you're
Stevie, yeah,
it's like that.
Sweetex.
Yeah, it's like so. It's that kind of artificial flavoring thing. You know, you would talk about colouring all the time and all this kind of stuff, but I never ever feel like when I'm drinking Dalyu and Flora and Fauna, I don't taste the E150. I don't taste it. But with the Boningtons, I felt like, have they injected something into that, or what have they done there that's made it so synthetically sweet? It's very odd. So I think the Boningtons was the first time I thought they shouldn't have done that. All other times, you know, there's redeeming factors. It's maybe a bit hot, but I love the farminess of new make like Rob, you know, so I really, you know, lean into that with the new stuff. I really enjoy that flavour, whereas maybe more veteran whiskey guys, you know, push back against that. I'm right into it. So I embrace that and I'm able to find flavours around about that. But the Boningtons was just like sweet. Just pump some sweetness into it and it'll be fine.
And we should clarify with the Boningtons, the one we're talking about is the PX cask.
The crap one.
Yeah. Well, they called it. There is only one, I think, just now.
Oh,
They floated that in the marketing meetings, but it quickly got shot down.
you know what we should call this one?
And I also want to be, despite participating and being quite cruel to this whiskey, there's a lot of people out there that are really enjoying it and quite happy to be paying their 45 quid for it and things. And also they've got a really strong team. You know, the pedigree out there is good. Jill Boyd's ex-Compass Box is now out there as part of the team. And I have no doubt that in the future, they're going to bring out fantastic products. And fair play to Halewood, who are usually chasing the supermarket type mass market presentation of 40% and things. They've brought this one out at decent ABV, natural whiskey, and I think, I can't read this time of night, but I think it says natural on here, non-chill filtered and all of that stuff. But it's too young. It's just not ready yet. It's this. Rob made a good point about there are whiskies out there that seem to be created today in order to be saleable at a very young age. So you can potentially enjoy the new make even, and certainly enjoy it at a young age. Famously, probably the most famous story is Kilchoman, right? Designed to be sold young, and Kilchoman's made them. They've made themselves legendary on non-age statement releases. Clearly, it's a strategy that's kind of worked. However, I cry pish to all of it. Honest, in my experience, you know, there's you can sip new make and say, do you know what? That's amazing. But it's caveated with the fact that you're drinking new make, you're not drinking whiskey. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, you know, famously the quote from Roddy is, you know, sometimes the most challenging new make is what makes the best whiskey. Just needs time. What we really enjoy in whiskey is what time brings often. And I think when you rush it, we can talk about amazing products that come from that, but it's not really whiskey as we know it, as we've come to be seduced by whiskey. It's a slightly different take, and it needs a readjustment of things. There are whiskies out there that can be enjoyed at a young age, and when it comes off amazingly well, and you do talk about it, but it's always caveated with that, given that it's a young product. And there's one, the way you were talking there inspired me to give an example of exactly that, and I'll hold it up in a second. But I think what's happened with the Bonington is that they've just, let's get some product out there. But they've missed the opportunity to make a big noise about it. So is that because they weren't confident? What's the story there? I just don't understand why it just appeared and nobody knew about it. Some people were pleased, and I think they were probably pleased because it had some nice flavour hooks, some sweetness and some spice about it, but it was 45 quid and something that a lot of people saw as being their inaugural. So like, oh, that's refreshing, that's good. But if you sip it against anything else that's out there right now, it's got a lot of work to do. And it reminds me of the early Clydesides. It reminds me of the early Glasgow releases. It reminds me of a lot of early releases that just get released far too early. And I don't care if they are designed to be released early, they still weren't ready yet. Here's the bottle that I reached for. And people are tired of me talking about this stuff. But this is Circumstance Distillery, which is in Bristol, founded in 2018. This is a 3-year-old, and everybody I pour this for, nobody, as long as it's been blind, nobody has got anywhere close to it being a new whiskey. I don't know how they're doing it. It's a single grain, so there's 85% malt in here and 15% unmalted barley. And it's nothing. That's not the reason. Something else is happening in their process. Something, maybe it's just a magical cask or something. But it's fabulous whiskey. What's amazing is that when I've been talking about this on the VPub and people have been paying money for this, which is always stressful, right? 55 to 65 quid a bottle, you're worried, you're hoping that people enjoy it too. The feedback you get is like, oh my God, it's amazing. I took it to Limburg and I opened it at Limburg, uncorked the bottle, or perhaps it was one that I'd uncorked the night before I went out there. It took almost a full bottle to Limburg and it got rinsed on the first night. And the competition on the table at Limburg is immense, right? Everybody's bringing their top drawer bottles to share. So for a Circumstance 3-year-old, a wee tiny distillery in the back end of Bristol, to be one of the bottles that gets rinsed on the first night says a lot. And I've bought lots more of it. I think it's hard to buy now. So to circle back round, I think that you can try your best to design something that's going to be sold young. But I think it's so much down to they're making tiny, tiny, tiny amounts. As soon as you're going to scale something, as soon as it's going to be sold to make a business out of it, you need to design in time. You need to design time into it. Clydeside is getting good now. What I've got in the glass now is Clydeside. Glasgow is good now. They've caught up. They've got much more mature product there, and we taste the difference. We're tasting it. Arnamur waited for 5 years. Arnamur waited for 5 years. Ballandalach waited 7 years. And they're beautiful whiskies. I suspect if Ballandalach released at 3, if Arnamur released at 3, and if Arnamur released at 3, we would have different perspectives.
Well, I'm going to say something here on that point. Arnamur did release spirit drinks before that point.
That's true.
And they are incredible. Even then, I mean, I've got one, it was AD 2018, and it's 2.5 years old, and it is phenomenal whiskey. It's phenomenal spirit drink, and it sets the tone. Like, if I try it now, I could see the characteristics. Even back then, easy for you to say, I could see the characteristics then. Now, you know, the character of Arnamur was created even then, and the casks are, you know, it's all alchemy at the end of the day, isn't it? It's all alchemy. But that spirit drink is great, and it doesn't taste like 2.5-year-old spirit.
You know, it's a good one. You were able to try Ardna Young. The only place I've come close to that was on Razzie. And I was lucky enough to taste the Humboldt, the Colombian oak, at one. I think was a wee bit younger than when you tried it, Roy. I think I tried it at 1 or 1.5 years old, and it was stellar then. And I just got bottled, and that's the newest bottle I've bought that's waiting for me back in Bonnie. Is a bottle of that, fully matured in Humboldt, Colombian oak. I believe it's
Is that the one? Sorry, is that the Slanty Club one? The Slanger Club.
Slanty.
The Slanty. I don't know what.
I think the Slanger Club got first dibs, but I think it's still getting our general release.
All right, okay.
Oh.
But just to your point, stuff can be amazing young. It can. I sometimes wonder, as Roy, you were talking about the new make. It made me realise or remember. I'm quite envious of those that have the access to taste a lot of new make and then how it finishes, to be able to connect those dots. Very few of us do. I think we got a pretty amazing insight with Michael Henry at Loch Lomond that time and that trip, and I think he'll do that often, or when he does do tastings there. But it must be amazing as a distiller, as a master distiller, to get that insight, and you've got a database of knowledge. I remember seeing when Jim McEwen was talking about getting Bruichladdich right, and he was talking about waiting for the new make to look right, and then he would finger and he goes, aye, it's good, that's right, we're on the right path. And that's an incredible skill set and database to have built up, to know what new make is and what it will become.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
I guess things like that cannot be taught.
No.
They can only be tasted for a long, long, long time for you to understand what that actually is, whatever it is that he's picking up, that he decides that it's right.
Aye.
I mean, for me, I can taste new makes alongside each other, and sometimes you can taste quite distinct differences. But oftentimes, they can be very, very similar. I'm obviously speaking to somebody with a fairly blunt palate like mine, but generally speaking, the new make, I think, changes in weird, inexplicable for me. We need Gus, honestly speaking, not tonight. So, how can, new make, to go back to Roddy's quote about how challenging new make ends up making really good whiskey. I think he was talking about things like Macallan, Springbank, and Mortlach. Really quite challenging new make spirits end up going on to mature into something that's really quite fantastic and interesting. But for me, a lot of the new makes that I've got here, I've got a collection of a couple of dozen new makes. It's great to taste occasionally, but it's not a drink. I wouldn't build a collection. I wouldn't build a passion out of new make spirit.
Did I ever tell you the story of when I was at Glenallachie and I stole a taste of new make?
No.
Carry on.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm doing. Actually, I'm not doing the shop assistant a disservice because she told me not to. It was on my misbehaviour. We were in the shop after a tasting. This is somewhere in between us having the tasting and then when I drunkenly went up to Billy Walker to get my bottle signed. We were in the shop and we were just kind of like sniffing around for what was open as we were deciding what fill your own we were going to do. And so they had a bunch of other stuff open and we were drinking and, we were getting a nice cask strength glow to us. And I asked, have you got any new make? And she goes, yeah, but you can't drink it. And I'm like, all right, can you get it? Can you bring some? These little thimbles, the little plastic thimbles, which exist purely just to frustrate everyone. But she went and got a little bit of new make, and as she hands me it, she goes, yeah, you can't taste that. Don't drink it. I'm like, no, I won't. And then as she gave me it, I can't remember if I did the finger or when she wasn't looking, I scooped it and handed it back, handed it back empty.
I dropped it on the floor.
And she's like, oh, that didn't happen. I'm like, no worries.
Why were you not to drink it? Was it tails or what was it? Heads or what was the?
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you can actually technically sell it. Can you? I don't think. Maybe there's laws about it.
No, you can sell it. You can buy new make.
You can buy new make. I think when I was at Kingsbarns, the guy had said that you can't. They had bottles of stuff that were to sniff only because if you drank it, it wasn't ethanol. It was something else.
Oh,
Tails.
Aye, it was like
Funnily-
dangerous for you.
funnily enough, my eyes have been a bit funny since that moment.
Well, you did it to
I
yourself.
both apologise and thank the lovely shop assistant at Glenallachie. Let me get close to some new make.
Taking advantage of the staff is what you wanted to say. there.
Well,
You're being nice. It was absolutely her fault. She should have spotted that you were an Embra thief.
pretty much. Pretty much. What's been the most impressive non-whiskey, so either new make or young, have you tried?
Glen Scotia.
What was it?
You were there.
New make? Oh, yes.
Mm.
Yes. They were not shy with
No, they
giving
were not.
us the new make.
Who wants some? Me? You? Everybody. It was great. It was. We were already going by that point, but holy moly, it was in that environment as well. How much does environment impact your appreciation and stuff?
Massively.
'Cause
It really does.
Were you stood in the still house?
we're right next to
When
the,
you- when you
the
had the new
spirit
make?
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
I
was like,
remember-
try some of that, okay? And it was, oh god, it was like the most pure tropical juice you've ever tried. It was phenomenal.
Mhm.
Geese meat in that bottle. But,
But
didn't.
would you drink it? Would you drink that?
Yes.
Or are we excited? Well, all right, okay. I get excited because I'm like, I know this is going to be amazing. It's
Mhm.
good now, but I know it's going to be amazing.
As a flavour experience, it was top 10. It was just so pure and like pure as in unadulterated. It was the peak flavour concentration.
Can I share 2 quick anecdotes to back up that?
Yes, please.
When we were at Glen Scotia, Ian McAllister showed us all round. Rob, you were there.
Oh, it was magic.
Fantastic. Gregor, you hadn't joined us yet.
No.
We got all of it. We got to taste the new make at the stills and all of that stuff. Took us into the warehouse, and somebody was brazen enough. I don't know if it was Sevi or somebody said to Ian at the end, right, well, is it just at kick out of the warehouse point, if you were to have one dram from here, what would be the cask? And Ian said, wait a minute. And he went away and he took a draw from a cask. And we'd noticed that there were some 32-year-olds rolling about the place and stuff. They're all dead excited, you know. And he poured this dram in, and it wasn't a blind or anything. He told us what was going into the glass, and it was his pick. He said, this is a 6-year-old first fill bourbon. And we were like, oh, you cheapskate, you know. If there was a bottle that I could have bought and taken away from Glen Scotia, it would have been that 6-year-old. It was stunning. So good. The Glen Scotia that we got put in our hands, Sevi and I, when we arrived for the festival, was a 5-year-old, 2019. It was only available as a dinner dram. And when we arrived, that was our opening dram. It's just like, and the guy who hosted us, he said, what would you like? And I said, dealer's pick. And that's what he brought us. And it was sublime. And it's 2019 distillate. Like, what? We went to a tasting in Edinburgh that was called the Decades Tasting, hosted by Rory Delgetty at the Belfry, a brand new whiskey bar in Edinburgh. Fantastic place to go. I know you love Diggers, Gordon. The prices are in line with Diggers.
Oh boy,
it's a different thing, and they're going to be building up their collection as time goes on. It's going to be a fantastic place to go. Lothian Road, Edinburgh. Fantastic. Decades Tasting. Bottles from the 2010s, the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, all the way back to the 60s. 40 odd quid a ticket. Just break even tasting. Wonderful stuff. And the dram of the day, 5-year-old 2019 Glen Scotia. Unbelievable. We all loved it. We all commented on how we loved it. None of us at our table voted for it because we're all kind of like, ooh, we've got a 1960s Cadenheads dumpy here. Obviously, we've got to vote for something that's a bit more. But we all appreciated just how amazing that was. And the future is exciting. These new distilleries, these revived distilleries, Renaissance distilleries, these kind of rejigged distilleries. I can't wait till it all matures. There's no, I haven't come across any consistent way to replace time. And I think it's one of the unique offerings of Scotch whisky, that cold, shitey, damp, humid climate that we all suffer and whinge about. We've whinged about it this very evening, but it's conducive to making some great whisky.
Isn't it symbiotic that the weather also produces the whisky that makes you tolerate the weather?
Yeah, it's the dock leaf next to the nettle leaf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Oh, I love it. Well, before we jump over to I Am a Distillery, Gordon, we need to come back and see how the suspended casks of Le Noir are treating you. How's the whiskey?
It's pretty good. It is pretty good. It's like you go into one of those sweetie shops that you can get old sweeties.
Yeah.
And it's like a lemon drop with a lemon drop wrapped in a plug of oak.
Effervescent?
No. I don't get effervescence. Roy talks about this all the time, and it really upsets me because I don't ever get any fizz.
Really? You've never had the fizz?
I get zing, and I get scoosh, and I get a wee bit of sugar, but I never get fizz. And it disappoints me greatly. But this one doesn't have any fizz either.
There's nothing more disappointing than hearing that you're disappointing folk.
I get fizz, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, you said it about your Loch Lomond bottles. Again, I was like, oh, here we go. Prepare the jaws to be fizzy. Nah.
Did you not try the bottle that Sebby brought to the blind? The Aaron?
Aye.
That was like wall-to-wall effervescence.
No fizzy here.
Wow.
I just seem to not have fizz receptors.
All I can hope is that the day that you uncover fizzy, that you unlock the fizzy level up, right? When that's unlocked to you, I hope that you don't need to give up anything else. I hope that it just adds. It's just another kind of layer. I don't know. Yeah. It's just effervescence for me is definitely a thing on quite a lot of drams now.
Well, I can see this bottle depleting rapidly because this is the neck pour.
I think it's interesting that Rob asked that because the way you were describing that, I think that we would taste effervescence on that dram. Unfortunately, you're sipping it alone tonight.
It's funny, actually, beg your pardon, the first release was top 10. And then the second release, it was a bit hot. I thought it corroborated, this is a bit... We're pushing the heat boundaries here. This one is silky magic. Silky lemon sweeties. Delicious.
Is it sold out on that link, Rob?
Yeah. I did find a second link actually to this morning, but I think that's gone as well.
Oh, I know Jenny loves the Paul and Noir releases and she thinks this one's the best yet. And I have to agree with her.
Well,
you didn't say that when I sent you the link.
From the neck pour alone.
He was securing his bottle first.
Yeah.
As I see Rob
frantically opening the Google.
Go a chasing.
I've got my links.
Well, good chat around newness. I think there's some nuggets in there for the listeners.
I've still to uncover whether the way you pronounce new is because of where you live today or where you're from.
Newness.
Newness.
I say new, no?
No.
We had this chat with the Grail. Newness.
Newness.
It's new. It's new.
N-O-O.
No, it's new. It's new.
Yeah,
it might just be your lips.
It's new. It's new for me.
What do you say, Rob?
New.
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 I think
it's quite nasally, isn't it?
New. That's new for me. Maybe it is that. I don't know. Don't make me more conscious than I am already. Hey, I got told I've got a golden voice. Let's allow the accent to get encompassed in the same compliment. Well, without further ado, let's go over.
Adieu.
All right, see you later. Hey.
I've got something for that.
Oh,
That
the
was so
podcast gone
chunky.
into new
It was so
territory.
chunky.
I know.
There's Shunky back again. I'll represent Monroe, Roy, and remind you this is a Nay Fancies podcast.
Yeah, fancies.
That was
I
the fancy.
I think down on point 8 of Nay Fancies is sound effects or canned laughter and applause. Roy, as you were so educated to win last podcast's I'm a Distillery, you get to deliver this week's or this episode's.
Okay.
For those that might be joining in at podcast 30, what are you doing? Go back to the beginning. But at the same time, this is a game that we finish at the end of every podcast where you have to guess the distillery. 10 questions from the most random down to the actual answer. You've got one shot to shoot. Once you've shot it, you need to hod your wheest. And we will go at it as Roy writes down his 10 questions.
No, well, I did it, but I did do it while we were setting up tonight because I didn't have one ready until I got the prompt from you. But I think we're in good shape. I just worried about the way I've written it out. I'll try and do it on the hoof.
Don't worry, we're 5 whiskies deep. Did not mute. Did not mute.
No,
Past that now.
Surely that was. I'll edit
that was a sound effect,
easily.
right? You plugged that in as well.
That was that was a sound effect. Okay. I am a distillery.
Yes.
No, you're nae.
I am built on the site of a previous distillery which closed in 1837, and I'm also on the site of an area of prolific illicit distilling. At one point in my parish, there was known to be 23 stills in operation.
Parish? I know.
Yeah.
Did you just give them all? That was all in one.
Yeah, I was just given.
He's just going to go straight to the answer now, Gordon. He wants an early bath.
That's one question there.
I'm hungry now. Let's go.
Aye. Food.
Okay. I was built with expansion in mind, and I can double my capacity on the same footprint that I currently stand upon.
I can double. Wait.
Yep.
But there's hee-haw there.
No. So
There used to be 23 illicit ones, right?
Inside. So it's huge because there's 20 things.
I am built on a site of a previous distillery that closed in 1837. Thank you for listening, Rob. It's also the same site that was so prolific for illicit distilling that at one point in the 18th century, there were 23 operational illicit distills in my parish.
Parish?
Yes, parish. Close by area. Okay.
So that's too many
Parish
words.
is a church. Parish is a church.
No, parish is a region.
Oh, man. You guys are educated.
This is crazy. My head's up my arse now. I don't know what's going on.
Let me try and shrink it for you a wee bit. I'm built on a
site
site where there was lots of illicit distilling and a previous distillery.
Right, here we go.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Previous as well.
Right.
You just managed to get the wheels back on there.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot them off
Back
again.
to the footprint. Back to the footprint. I can double my capacity on the same footprint, as in they've got space, but it's not used.
The distillery is designed for them to just add additional equipment in order to double capacity
Got you.
without having to expand the building.
That's mental.
The footprint of the distillery.
I'm no
Must
further
be
to having
capacious.
a guess. I'm just wanting to participate.
Well, I'm glad that it's stimulating chat. I distill a peated style.
Only.
Oh, wow. Oh, God.
Only one. That's it.
Well, even Ardbeg don't make only a peated style. So even Ardbeg do make unpeated. So
Do they?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ardbeg make unpeated. Blasda is unpeated.
Blasda.
Blasda?
Yeah.
I thought that was like, I was going to say, is that like a Russian Asda?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm off to the Blasda to get the
It's
vodka.
a rubbish Asda. The Blasda.
The Blasda.
Ardbeg occasionally make unpeated whiskey.
And can you buy this?
When we were there in 2022, they were distilling unpeated, Rob.
Oh, were
Do they
they?
use it to mix? Oh no, this is for Blaster.
Anyway, we're digressing. Just keep the wheels on. Come on.
Sorry, teacher.
Do you know what?
I am designed, built, and I am producing a peated style of whiskey. I exist for a peated style, okay?
We're no closer.
Do you know what the Gaelic word for tasty is? Blaster.
That's correct. Blaster is delicious. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So it's blaster, not blasda.
Oh, Christ.
I mean...
Right, what's the next question?
Sorry, carry on.
I did
The
pick up
poor listener, the listeners
pronounce.
pulled over. The listeners are pulled over right now and are shouting at their car radio, saying, "Get to the next question."
Carry on. Right, footprint, go.
Okay. My owners own 2 malt distilleries, of which I am one.
I have nothing to say about that.
I share a site with a fruit orchard. I aim for cloudy wort through descending line arms, fast distillation, and fat stills, all to realise a meaty style of spirit.
Lag.
Somebody's
You're
shot.
lagging.
I'm lagging it.
You've got a computer. You got.
LAGG.
Hold your water. All hold your water. Okay. I am located in the lowlands.
Oh my god.
Hey Gordon, can we just pause a second? Can we just take a second to just dwell in this moment? Thank you.
I have 2 core range bottles, a bourbon expression and a sherry finish.
Corey Creevy and Kill What's Its Face?
Well, you can't say anything.
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
Aye.
Hey. Shh.
Hey. Wheest.
It's you wheesting.
Hey. Zip it.
Finally, last clue. I am located on the Isle of Arran.
God damn it.
I am lag.
Wait. How's that a lowland?
I know.
You can't do islands, can you?
I know.
Which is cruel.
No, it is. No, legitimately, it's a lowland distillery because the split.
That, man.
I know. I remember the first time I heard it, and I had the similar reaction, Gregor. I was like, "Lowland? Can it be lowland? It's an island." But the split, the geological split, and the Highland Line cuts through Scotland and straight through the middle of Arran as well.
You bastards.
We saw lag from the sea.
Oh, okay, he's speaking now. That means he stopped fist pumping and bumping his camera around the room.
Actually, let's keep it 100. He was kissing his bicep, is what he was doing.
Where's the beach? That way.
Aye.
Congratulations, Gordon.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, we saw it from the sea, and we were bumping along, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! It's like a zigzag going along, but it's green. It must have a eco roof."
Yeah, sedum. Sedum, is it called? Sedum?
I was like, look at that
Sedum.
weird looking thing. And then I saw the things beside it that looked like warehouses. I was like, I wonder if that's lag. So we've got the belly becks out. Bung! It is lag. Brilliant.
Lag.
Yeah. Right on the very south coast.
And it was the one that I had picked for this whole theme, but I picked it for the wrong podcast because Gregor flipped the order of the topics, and I was already halfway through a dram of it. So I was drinking the wrong dram at the last recording. So
I made you have to drink more whiskey.
You're a good pal. You're a good pal.
Aye, exactly.
How much whiskey have you had, Roy? It was Gregor's fault.
Aye, totally. Just tell him I keep changing the brief. I can keep changing the brief mid-podcast if it means more whiskey. Thank you all for joining today. And listeners, thank you for listening. If you don't want Gordon to be giving next week's or next podcast I Am a Distillery, please submit via drama.
I take offence to that.
or you can email me, or email me, or email us, timeforadram@gmail.com. Would love some more I Am a Distilleries from the crowd. Don't worry if you've submitted one already, or worry if you've submitted one already. We didn't use it. Apologies, it got lost in the emails. Just resend it and we'll bring it in. But with that, and that, scream if you want to go faster. Cheers. We'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, boys.
What the
Oh
hell?
my god.
Top 10. By the way, so we tale for you. So I was meant to go down to Liverpool.
Oh, sorry.
You going to do it again?
No.
Right. I was going down to Liverpool. Anyway, I was in Glasgow, right? So I'd driven down, stayed with mum and dad, drove to Glasgow, spent a day in Glasgow. The train's at 5:30. Great. Anyway, train was cancelled at 4:30. Fuck's sake. So then I drive back to. I've lied to you. Forget that. Right, scratch.
Edit that out. Edit that out.
No, that's staying in.
Start again.
That's the staying.
Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to episode 30 of the podcast. That was fumbled as fuck.
Well now.
That's staying in.
Always. Always.